What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the numbers. These are my full card breakdown and predictions for UFC 290. We have Alexander Volkanovski going against Yair Rodriguez.
I need all the wins, yeah. All that and all that is. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
And we are back for another full card breakdown prediction video this week, breaking down one of the best cards of the year in UFC 290 International Fight Week, a card that is stacked from top to bottom, a card that I will be attending live. Really looking forward to going out to Vegas, meeting some of the fighters potentially, meeting some of you guys potentially, and enjoying a very, very good fight card here in UFC 290. Like I said, just completely stacked from top to bottom. Can't wait to break this card down, getting it out nice and early here. Before we get started, a couple announcements. If you guys have not known already, I did partner with Prize Picks sometime last week. Shout out to Prize Picks. If you guys have not checked out Prize Picks, use that promo code DFSBTN for a 100% deposit match up to $100. I'll be doing Prize Picks content weekly. I did a Prize Picks video last week. I'll be doing a Prize Picks video this week for UFC 290. So make sure you guys do check that out and check out Prize Picks, and don't forget to use that promo code DFSBTN. Now is a great time to check out DFSbythenumbers.com. We have 5 cards in July. Check out that middle tier, the $10 MMA betting option. It's the most popular option I have. With that, you get access to all the stats you see on the Friday and Saturday shows. You get the first notice on all the bets. Right now, I have one pretty big bet for UFC 290. I have 2 betting articles. The first one, the full card and best bet breakdown article, where I break down every card, give the best bet, the prediction, the round, the method, the confidence rating, and then my Friday betting article, my final betting article, where I give my break down all my track bets, give a Hail Mary, prelim, and main card parlay. And then other than that, access to Discord, which, by the way, for this week only, I am going to open up the Discord to the public. I'm going to put the Discord link to DFS by the Numbers Discord in the description below. I want to get the Discord popping. I want to bring some new people in. It is absolutely the best way to reach me. There on the Discord, I give a lot of alerts in terms of live streams, in terms of new bets that are placed on the website, in terms of even tweets. And then, like I said, it's the best way to reach me there. Just at me, DM me on Discord, and I'll get to you. But yeah, going to be opening up the Discord for this week only for UFC 290. Check it out in the description below for that Discord link there. Can't wait to see you guys join up. All right, and then other than that, I do want to shout out the winner for the Significant Strike contest for UFC 289. Never got a chance to do so, but I have to shout out my guy, Pierce Immacula, who guessed 183 strikes for Amanda Nunes, Irene Aldana, and the correct answer was 183 significant strikes. Shout out to you, Pierce. Right on the dot, very impressive. And of course, we are bringing back the Significant Strike contest for UFC 290. To enter said contest, first, leave a like on the video. Second, subscribe to the channel. And then third, comment down how many significant strikes you think that Alexander Volkanovski and Yair Rodriguez are going to combine for. $25 the first. If there's a tiebreaker, the tiebreaker does go to the person that commented first. So a lot of stuff we had to cover there. The prize picks, the website, the contest, and I'll be doing some more contests throughout the week. It's a big card, a card I'm looking forward to. Don't forget to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the post notifications. I'll be putting out a ton of content for UFC 290 this week. All right, with all that out of the way, I say we get into it. We break down some fights, and we're going to start with Tatsuro Taira going against Edgar Chairez. We have Taira, 23 years old, 5'7", with a 70-inch reach, 13-0, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. We have Chairez, who is 27 years old, 5'7", with a 72-inch reach, 10-4, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. So I'll tell you right now, on this card, we have something we haven't seen in a while this year. It's going to be a card just full of massive, massive favorites, massive mismatches. A card where I think they're trying to prop a lot of guys up. And this is one of the matchups because we have Taira, who is not even the biggest favorite on the card, but he's minus 900. Opened up minus 1,200, actually, currently minus 900. And then Edgar Chairez opened up plus 775 and currently plus 600. So as you guys know, Tatsuro Taira was supposed to fight Kletzen Rodriguez a couple weeks ago. It was going to be a very, very good fight. It was a fight where I was picking Taira. I was picking him to win by submission. And I'll say he's taken a step down in competition here against Edgar Chairez. Chairez did have a decision loss on the Contender Series to Clayton Carpenter, a fight where he did look pretty good early. He was piecing Carpenter up a little bit early, busted him up a little bit on the feet. But as the fight went on, he did slow down. He did get taken down. He did get stuck on his back a little bit. And then we also have a guy in Chairez who did get submitted by somebody that Taira beat in the first round, and that's Jesus Aguilar, who we'll talk about later in the card. But we did see Chairez again in that fight. He slowed down late in the fight, and then he ended up getting submitted by Jesus Aguilar there. So yeah, I mean, I think it's, no hot take here. I think Tatsuro Taira, this guy's the real deal. This guy, Tatsuro Taira, he's only 23 years old, and already I think he's super well-rounded. Like, I remember watching tape on this guy before we even came into the UFC, and I thought his striking was pretty solid. I think his striking's very underrated. I thought his wrestling is okay. I think it, definitely needs some room for improvement, but what impressed me the most about Tatsuro Taira was the grappling. This guy's grappling is slick. If he takes your back, you're either staying there the entire round or you're getting submitted. I think it's obviously a tough matchup for Chairez. He's taken this fight on short notice as well. I like Tatsuro Taira to get this fight down to the mat. Wear on Chairez a little bit. I think it will last a little bit, but once Chairez starts getting tired, Tatsuro Taira, I think, gets him out of there in that second or third round. So give me Tatsuro Taira to get this guy out of there. I'll say second round submission for Taira in this one. Moving on, we got Saaiman going against Terrance Mitchell. We have Saaiman, 22 years old, 5'8", with a 67-inch reach, 8-0, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Terrance Mitchell, 33 years old, 5'10", 15-2, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Let's take a look at the odds. We got recently released real odds here. We got Saaiman opening up minus 350, currently minus 400. Terrance Mitchell opening up plus 285, currently plus 300. So Terrance Mitchell is a guy that did fight that Ultimate Fighter season where they had I think it was 16 different flyweights, and then the winner got to fight Demetrius Johnson there. So he was on that season of the Ultimate Fighter. I forget what the ranking was. I just watched the episode yesterday. I think it was like 9 or 10 or 11, somewhere around there. But regardless, he went out there and he fought Kaikar France, and he got starched. He got starched in 30 seconds. Other than that, he has a decision loss and a knockout loss. I would urge you not to go and watch that knockout loss. I think it was against Zach Eastlick, one of the worst knockout losses I've seen. It was in the Alaska Fighting Championship where he got knocked out, and he was on the ground for like 10 minutes, Terrance Mitchell. And the cameraman just pointed it at Mitchell the whole time while he was just laying on the ground, and the stretchers came in, and it was just a very, very tough scene to watch there. But yeah, I mean, this is a guy that does fight in the Alaska fight scene. And as we know, the majority of those fighters that come into the UFC don't do too good. There is one exception off the top of my head, and that is Jared Cannonier. But other than that, Carlton Minus comes to mind, who was not good. And then, obviously, the most famous one, probably Jordan Wright, the Beverly Hills Ninja, who is not great. So, yes, Mitchell, very good record there, 15-2. But going out there and beating these Alaska FC guys with records that are literally NA on Tapology. They don't even have a record. Not good. So, you watch a tape on Mitchell, I think he's solid. I mean, first of all, this guy's a flyweight. He's fought at flyweight for I'd say 95% of his career. He just recently had a fight at bantamweight his last couple fights, but the majority of his career, especially early on, is at flyweight. So that's something to mention. And then, like I said, he's going out there, he's taking guys down, his wrestling looks good, his grappling looks good, but let's be honest, I mean, going out there and submitting these guys with NA records just doesn't really do anything for me. Saaiman, I think this guy, he's 22 years old, he's 11 years younger. He's a very good fighter. I do think there are some holes in his game where Terrance Mitchell, honestly, he can come in here, Terrance Mitchell, and honestly have success early on. I really do believe so. But Terrance Mitchell's a guy that has 17 fights, only one has went the distance. The majority of his wins come in the first round. He's taken this fight on short notice. Saaiman was supposed to fight Christian Rodriguez this is an astronomical step down in from Christian Rodriguez. Do you know what Christian Rodriguez would do to Terrance Mitchell? Very, very terrible things. So, yeah, great matchup for Cameron Saaiman. I think he will probably get taken down early. I think he will probably lose some minutes early on the ground. It's just as that fight goes on, I think Cameron Saaiman's going to wear on Mitchell a little bit. He's going to hit him a little bit, and he's eventually going to finish him in that second or third round. On the feet, it's not close. Cameron Saaiman, very, very good striker. Very good power. Sneaky power as well. Very good cardio. The takedown defense is the one thing I don't like, especially in this matchup where Mitchell will go for takedowns and probably get them. But I don't see Mitchell submitting Cameron Saaiman in the first round. I think that's his path to victory, like a first-round sub. And if he's not able to do that, I think Cameron Saaiman really puts it on him and really beats him up bad and finishes him probably second round, if not the late first round there. So I'll go Cameron Saaiman. I'll say late first round finish for Cameron Saaiman. I think this is going to be a complete car crash for as long as it lasts. But I like Saaiman to get this win here. Moving on, we got Jimmy Crute going against Alonzo Menifield. We got Jimmy Crute, 27 years old, 6'2" with a 74-inch reach, 12-3-1 and 2-2-1 in his last 5 fights. We got Alonzo Menifield. He is 35 years old, 6 foot with a 76-inch reach, 13-3-1 and 3-3-1 in his last 5 fights. So when this fight got announced, I was both confused and then I was excited because who wanted a rematch with Jimmy Crute, Alonzo Menifield? Not me, really, but I guess I'm looking forward to it, I suppose. But I don't think anybody really wanted to see that again, which it was a fun fight, at least for the first 5 minutes. But after that, they were both completely gassed out, and it got very sloppy and greasy down the stretch there. But yeah, I think this line's about accurate. I think a pick'em makes a ton of sense to me. We had Crute opened up -115, still -115. Menifield opened up -105, still -105. To be honest, I don't see this line moving too much. Maybe Crute will take some steam a little bit because he is the younger fighter. Maybe we do expect improvements out of him, but I don't know. I like the Menifield side here, I suppose, if I had to pick a side, just due to the fact that when you watch the first fight, the last time they fought, which was very, very recent, it was literally a few months ago, Menifield had a ton of success in the first round. First of all, Jimmy Crute is a guy that he's a very good wrestler, but his fight IQ is atrocious. I mean, Jimmy Crute's a guy that when you expect him to wrestle, he's going to go out there and strike and probably get knocked out. It's happened plenty of times. I mean, this guy, his striking defense is terrible. Like, on paper, I'll get the exact number. It's got to be like 40-something%. Jimmy Crute's striking defense is 45% striking defense for Jimmy Crute. And we saw in the Menifield Crute fight that Crute actually fought an okay game plan. He actually did try to go out there and take down Menifield, and he didn't really have success doing so. He didn't really. I mean, he took down Menifield a couple times, but he really expended a ton of energy to do so. And then when he finally got Menifield down, Menifield popped right back up. And then when they were at range, Menifield was hurting Crute bad. You do not want to have a 45% striking defense against Alonzo Menifield, who hits like an absolute truck. So, first of all, we can't trust Crute to wrestle at all. And then second of all, if he does wrestle, he's probably not having success, at least for the first 7.5 minutes. So yeah, he's probably going to have to survive the first 7.5 minutes, and at that point, Menifield will be gassed out, and Crute could get a finish down the stretch. But I think Menifield knocks him out here. I think Menifield could have knocked out Crute in the first fight. I think the fight could have been stopped potentially, but Mark Goddard was reffing. So as long as Mark Goddard is not reffing this fight, I think Menifield probably does finish him. And there was this one point in the first round where Menifield hurt Crute bad. Crute was just covering up. Menifield was on top, and Menifield was just landing some of the weakest ground and pound I've ever seen in my life. Like, if he would have let go of some solid ground and pound, like, the ref would have been forced to stop the fight. But he was doing like this pitter-patter ground and pound when Crute was like done. The ref obviously didn't stop the fight for that, and then Menifield completely gassed out, which that can happen here. But I will say Menifield does land a big shot, knocks out Jimmy Crute. But yeah, interesting fight. But I'll take Menifield first round knockout as long as Mark Goddard is not the referee. All right, moving on. We got Vitor Petrino going against Marcin Prachnio. We got Petrino, 25 years old, 6'2", with a 77-inch reach, 8-0, 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Marcin Prachnio, 34 years old, 6'3", with a 74-inch reach, 16-6 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. We take a look at the odds here. Petrino opened up minus 275, currently minus 280. Prachnio opened up plus 235, currently plus 240. So very fun matchup here. I was actually impressed with Petrino's fight against Anton Turkalj. I really was. I think people are going to crap on him a little bit for that fight, but I was impressed because you take a look at Petrino and watch his fights outside the UFC, and he can be taken down. I think there is a hole in his game, which is the takedown defense. He can be stuck on his back. The cardio did not look great, right? So there's all these things I see outside the UFC, and he does get taken down 5 times by Turkalj, but Petrino actually went out there and wrestled Turkalj and took him down 7 times. And that surprised me. That shocked me a little bit. I was not expecting Petrino to wrestle at all. Like none at all. Because that's not really his game. His game is going out there and knocking fools out. And he went out there and took down Turkalj 7 times. He almost knocked out Turkalj like 50 times. Like Turkalj, I don't know what his chin's made of. But if Petrino lands those same shots on Prachnio that he was landing on Turkalj, Prachnio is going to sleep. I mean, Prachnio, he's most notably known for that Sam Alvey fight where Sam Alvey knocked him down. Prachnio gets back up, walks right at Sam Alvey with his hands completely down, and Alvey just knocks him out. I mean, so Alvey knocked him out. Magomed Ankalaev knocked him out, which we can forgive that. And then Mike Slow Rodriguez knocked him out, and that's unforgivable, to be honest. So he had 3 first-round knockouts in a row, losses, and then he fights Khalil Roundtree, and I think everybody's of the opinion of, Khalil Roundtree's going to knock him out in the first round. Roundtree doesn't show up that night, and Prachnio ends up winning a decision. And then he goes out there and gets a win against Ike Villanueva. Then he goes against William Knight and wins a fight where William Knight lands 8 strikes. So he is 3-1 in his last 3-1 in his last 4 fights. So his record's looking better, but still, I mean, this is a completely different matchup than a William Knight and Ike Villanueva, and even a Philippe Lins. And by the way, in that Philippe Lins fight, Prachnio was gassed out like 6 minutes in. And at one point, I think it was Mark Smith was the ref, he was like warning Prachnio to literally fight back. Luckily for Prachnio, Philippe Lins gassed out himself and was able to survive the full 15. But if he gasses out here against Petrino, I think it's going to be bad. So I think Petrino can knock out Prachnio on the feet. I think Prachnio his path to victory here is literally running away and landing like leg kicks and body kicks. Like even in the William Knight fight, Prachnio only landed like 9 head strikes against William Knight. So I think Prachnio's path to victory is like leg kicking Petrino to death. And as we know, what are the judges going to score, leg kicks or Prachnio, wobbling, or Prachnio getting wobbled across the cage multiple times? But I don't think this goes to decision anyway. I think Prachnio can wrestle here, get Prachnio tired. I think Prachnio, it's messed me up a little bit. I think Petrino can knock out Prachnio, or I think Petrino can just take him down. But either way, I see Petrino getting his hand raised, and I'll say he knocks him out in the very first round here. Moving on, we got Esteban Ribovics going against Kamuela Kirk. We got Ribovics, 27 years old, 5'10", with a 69-inch reach, 11-1, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Kamuela Kirk, 29 years old, 5'10", with a 75-inch reach, 11-5, 3-2 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. Another decently sized favorite here. And Esteban Ribovics, he opened up minus 120, currently minus 200. Kamuela Kirk opened up minus 101, plus 100 currently, plus 170 here. So, Esteban Ribovics was undefeated prior to his last fight, and I think that it was Loik Radzhabov who came in there on somewhat short notice, and then we saw Loik Radzhabov go out there and take down Ribovics 11 times. And I think Ribovics' takedown defense is horrible. And in theory, Kamuela Kirk can get this fight down to the mat whenever he wants. Kamuela Kirk is a first-degree black belt in BJJ. He's a really good grappler. But the problem with Kamuela Kirk is he never really uses it. I mean, there's a couple fights where he will go out there and get takedowns, but a lot of times he's going out there and striking with guys like outside the UFC. There's some fights where he's just going out there and yes, he's having success. He's knocking guys out even. But in this fight, you're not going to want to strike with Ribovics. Ribovics, when he was on the feet against Radjabov, he hurt Radjabov multiple times. He even dropped at one point. Ribovics is no joke in terms of the striking. This guy has a ton of power. He's out there destroying guys outside the UFC. Even in the Contender Series, knocked out Thomas Paul. 1 minute and 30 seconds. But even outside the UFC, he's starching guys to the point where they are not getting up for minutes at a time. It is bad. Ribovics striking is no joke. He even has solid grappling, multiple submissions on his record as well. It's just his takedown defense is atrocious. The thing I don't like about Kamuela Kirk in this fight, first of all, like I said, he's a really good grappler who doesn't grapple as much as he needs to. So even though he should take down Ribovics, and he can take down Ribovics, will he even try to? Second of all, I don't think Kirk has the best cardio in the world, especially if he's going to go out there with a wrestle-heavy game plan. And if Ribovics is able to A, stuff some of these takedowns, or B, get right back up, what is Kamuela Kirk's gas tank going to look like in that second or third? Probably not good. And then thirdly, like, Kamuela Kirk's coming up a weight class. I think he has maybe 1 or 2 fights at lightweight, but this guy's primarily a featherweight. So coming up a weight class against, Esteban, Ribovics, how's that going to work out for him? We haven't seen Kamuela Kirk in a while. So, yeah, on the feet, Kamuela Kirk, he's actually a solid striker. I feel like in terms of minute winning, sure, it's going to be competitive, but the power is heavily in favor of Esteban Ribovics, and I don't think it'd be wise for Kamuela Kirk to go out there and strike with him for 15 minutes. If he does that, he's getting knocked out. What I think Kirk should do is go out there and take down Ribovics, try to submit him early, and if not, I think Ribovics is going to absolutely take over as the fight goes on. I think Kamuela Kirk's going to get tired, and I think Ribovics finishes Kamuela Kirk in that second or third round. I think Kamuela Kirk needs to get this fight down to the mat very early and submit Ribovics in that first round. If not, I don't trust the cardio. And like I said, Ribovics is an absolute killer on the feet. So give me Ribovics to win this fight. I'll say Ribovics wins this fight by third round knockout. Really looking forward to this one. Moving on, we got Yazmin Jauregui going against Denis Gomes. We got Jauregui, 24 years old, 5'3", with a 64-inch reach, 10-0, 5-0 in her last 5 fights. Denis Gomes, 23 years old, 5'2", with a 63-inch reach, 7-2 and 4-1 in her last 5 fights. We have a massive favorite here in Jauregui. She opened up minus 450, currently minus 400. Denis Gomes opened up plus 350, currently plus 300. So Jauregui had gained a ton of hype, I'd say, in her debut against Yazmin Lucindo. She went out there and they both put on a very good fight. Jauregui was able to win that fight, and we know that Lucindo now she's legit as well. And then she went out there against Estela Nunez. She did get dropped early, battled some adversity, came back and finished Estela Nunez in the second round. Very good win there. Denis Gomes is someone who got a nice win on the Contender Series, made her debut against Lomo Lukebumi. Very tough debut. She did lose that fight. And then she went out there against Bruna Brazil, a really good striker, as a pretty big underdog, and she dominated Bruna Brazil on the feet. Like, Bruna Brazil was supposed to be like some phenomenal striker, and I think she is. But Denis Gomes was just having her way with Bruna Brazil wherever the fight went. So really good underdog win for Denis Gomes. And I'll say both these fighters, they have that dog in them. Both of these fighters. Denis Gomes has that dog in her, whereas Bruna Brazil did not. That looked like the first time Bruna Brazil battled any adversity whatsoever, and she folded multiple times. Denis Gomes has that dog in her. She's very tough. She's going to fight for your money. And then you got Yazmin Jauregui, who's the same thing. She has that dog in her. Both these fighters are so young. Both these fighters have a ton of upside. But in terms of how this fight plays out, Yazmin Jauregui is the much better striker here, in my opinion. She's much more defensively sound. Denis Gomes, she blocks punches with her face. There was this one fight Denis Gomes had where she literally got like 10-8'd in like 2 different rounds. She was dropped multiple times. And then luckily for her, she was able to kind of battle through that, fight through that, and then her opponent gassed out, and she's able to get a late finish in a fight where she was just getting 10-8 like each round. And I still have some concerns about the strike and defense of Denis Gomes. I even have concerns about the takedown defense of Denis Gomes. So I feel like Yazmin Jauregui should have a ton of success here on the feet. And then I also feel like Yazmin Jauregui can get this fight down to the mat, get on top. This line's kind of ridiculous, though. Because like I said, Denis Gomes, she is a dog. She will fight for your money. Like, minus 400 is wild for Yazmin Jauregui. But I think she is the better fighter here, and I think she does go out there and win this fight. And I'll say she even finishes the fight here. I think Denis Gomes is going to block a lot of punches with her face. I think this is going to be a war. Like, this could be one of the most exciting fights of the card, and it's a freaking strawweight fight. This is a very, very good fight, but I'll see Yazmin Jauregui wins this fight by second-round knockout. But I think Denis Gomes will definitely have her moments here. But give me Yazmin Jauregui to get it done. I'll say second-round knockout for her. Moving on, we got Jesus Aguilar going against Shannon Ross. We got Aguilar, 27 years old, 5'4", with a 62-inch reach, 8-2, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Shannon Ross, 34 years old, 5'6", with a 66-inch reach, 13-7, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds, and we see that Aguilar is a favorite, open up minus 210, currently minus 210, and Shannon Ross opening up plus 180, currently plus 180. So, yeah, I remember taping Shannon Ross for Contender Series, and he was fighting Vinicius Salvador, who at that point Salvador had not fought in a while, and the tape was very unimpressive with Salvador. So yeah, I was picking Shannon Ross, and quite frankly, I think Shannon Ross was my most confident pick that week of the show, and he was a big favorite as well against Salvador. And then Shannon Ross, I mean, the one thing that I didn't like watching tape on Shannon Ross prior to that Contender Series fight was the potential durability issues of Shannon Ross. I thought his durability was a huge question mark, and you don't want to be questioning your durability at flyweight. So that was like the one thing I didn't like, because I thought Shannon Ross, like, his takedown defense is solid, his striking is very solid, he has good volume, he has good power in his own right, but it's the durability that kind of worries me. But hey, he should be okay against Vinicius Salvador. No, he was not. He got destroyed by Vinicius Salvador. Salvador officially knocked him down 3 times. If you're getting knocked down 3 times at flyweight, I mean, something's up. And then Shannon Ross makes his debut against Kletzen Rodriguez, and Kletzen Rodriguez finishes him in like 30 seconds. So, yeah, the durability is an issue. And like I said, you do not want to question your durability at flyweight. Luckily for Shannon Ross, he is fighting Jesus Aguilar, who you don't really have to worry about that durability, at least on the feet here. But Aguilar, I really like this guy's grappling. So he went out there, Aguilar, made his debut, took a very, very, very tough debut against one fighter in Tatsuro Taira. And I thought Aguilar was about to pull off an upset. This guy, Aguilar, his guillotine is deadly. This guy has multiple guillotines on his record, and funny enough, he gets Tatsuro Taira in a tight guillotine. I thought it was over. I really did. And Taira was stuck in it for a couple minutes, and I was like, oh my gosh. So he was not able to submit Tatsuro Taira, but my goodness, was he close, right? And yeah, he's good, man. He had a guillotine win on the Contender Series. He finished, we talked about Edgar Chairez in the 5th round. Jesus Aguilar's not bad. 27 years old, going to be the younger guy here. Of course, he's going to be at a striking disadvantage, but this guy can wrestle and this guy can grapple very good. And if he grabs your neck, you are going to get submitted more often than not. So I do like Jesus Aguilar here. I think he's the better fighter. Like, I don't think Shannon Ross is UFC caliber. If I'm being honest, like 34 years old Shannon Ross, he lost on the Contender Series. You got starched in your debut. What is the upside of Shannon Ross? And I don't think it's a big upside whatsoever. So I have to pick Aguilar here, and I have to pick Aguilar by his most likely win condition, which is that guillotine. I think at some point he is going to grab the neck, and if he gets you in that guillotine, you are not getting out unless you are Tatsuro Taira. That is the one exception, but if he does get your neck, you are not getting out. You are going to either go to sleep or you're going to tap, and I think Shannon Ross gets submitted here. I'll say second round submission win for Jesus Aguilar. All right, moving on. We have a very good fight here. I believe this is the featured prelim, and rightfully so. We have Niko Price going against Robbie Lawler. We got Niko Price, 33 years old, 6 foot with a 76-inch reach, 15-6 and 1-3 and won no contest in his last 5 fights. Robbie Lawler, 41 years old, 5'11", with a 74-inch reach, 29-16, and 1-4 in his last 5 fights. So we'll take a look at the odds here. Niko Price, massive favorite, opening up -155, currently -260. Robbie Lawler opening up +135, currently +220. And I'll be honest, I was looking to lay the hammer down on Niko Price, whether that be parlaying him up with somebody, whether that be just playing him straight. I was potentially thinking about doing that, but after taping this fight, no way am I laying -260 on Niko Price. And I'm a huge Niko Price fan. I love this guy's style of fighting. I met him in Miami a couple years ago. We got a picture. I still have that picture. And he's a nice guy, family guy. The guy's like 6 kids. But I don't know. You know, we're all like, Robbie Lawler is washed. And yeah, he is. Yeah, definitely. He's washed. He's 41. But Niko Price is only 33, and he's looking like kind of bad lately. Like, I don't know what's going on with Niko Price, like if he's battling a lot of injuries. But Niko Price just looks off, like the last 5 fights, right? He gets knocked out by Vicente Luque in an absolute war, just a brutal knockout, where he just took so much damage in that fight. He fights the ghost of Donald Cerrone. That fight is a draw. Not able to finish Donald Cerrone out of nowhere, like, this doesn't make sense. And we lose to Michel Pereira. He barely squeaks by Alex Oliveira. And then he goes to war with Phil Rowe and gets finished late down the stretch, gasses out. Like, I don't know what's up with Niko Price. Like, he came into that Phil Rowe fight with, like, double knee braces looking like Roxanne Modafferi in there. So he's only 33, but, you know, he's taken a ton of damage throughout his career. A ton of damage. This guy's been knocked out a lot. He's been hurt a lot. 48% strike and defense, right? He's taken a ton of damage. And then he's probably battling a lot of injuries. He hasn't been as active the last couple years. So, yes, Robbie Lawler is 41 years old, but I don't really see why Niko Price is -260 here, because this fight is going to be a war. This fight is going to be an all-out war. I did see that Niko Price is doing some work with Ben Askren, so I'm not sure if Niko Price is going to wrestle. If he does, I don't think he's going to have any success. So I don't think that would be a good idea. But yeah, Niko Price doesn't even average a takedown per 15 minutes. It only has a 20% accuracy. He's not taking down Robbie Lawler, you wouldn't think, even though Robbie Lawler is, like I said, 41. I think these guys are going to stand and bang. They're going to go to war. Robbie Lawler going out with a bang. It's going to come down to who lands first. Who lands that big shot first. And I'm kind of leaning Robbie Lawler here. I think he's very live, because even in like the Barberena fight, like Robbie Lawler was hurting Barberena at points. Yeah, he went out there against Nick Diaz, he knocked him out. That doesn't really tell you nothing. But prior to that, you know, losses to Neil Magny, Colby Covington, Ben Askren, Rafael dos Anjos, and that Ben Askren loss was weird, right? And Robbie Lawler almost finished Ben Askren. So yes, he's like 1-5 in his last 6 fights, but he's fighting very good guys. And like I said, the Brian Barberena fight, he did show that he had a lot left. Getting knocked out by Brian Barberena is not a good look. But I think somebody's getting knocked out here. And Niko Price just got knocked out by Phil Rowe. Niko Price has been hurt a ton. And if Robbie Lawler lands a big shot on Niko Price, who blocks punches with his face, you know, is Niko Price going to be able to eat those shots? And I'm not so sure. What does Niko Price's cardio look like? You know, it didn't look good in the Rowe fight. So I think somebody's getting served here. I think this is potential fight of the night. But I'm going to take Robbie Lawler to get it done. I'm going to take him to win this fight by second-round knockout. But I think somebody's hitting the ground here brutally, and somebody's getting knocked out. And I'm going to say Robbie Lawler gets the knockout. This line just doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Should Niko Price beat Robbie Lawler? Yeah, he should. But they're going to stand and bang and give me Robbie Lawler to get a win here and retire with a win in this one. Very, very good fight there. All right, we will move on to the next fight. We got Jalin Turner going against Dan Hooker. Guys, this card is just completely stacked. We got Jalin Turner, who is 28 years old, 6'3" with a 75.5-inch reach, 13-6, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Dan Hooker, 33 years old, 6 foot with a 75.5-inch reach, 22-12 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. So we'll take a look at the odds here. Money's been pouring in on Jalin Turner. DraftKings did open up an early line on Jalin Turner at like -130. I think DraftKings like pulled the entire fight off for a couple days because just an egregious opener there. But nowadays, Jalin Turner's minus 240, Dan Hooker plus 205, and this number is going to keep growing. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if we saw Jalin Turner minus 300. Should it be? No, but a lot of people very high on Jalin Turner, including myself. So, Dan Hooker is a guy that, like Niko Price, we just talked about, he has taken a ton of damage throughout his career. And quite frankly, he hasn't really looked the same since that fight against Dustin Poirier. That back and forth war where, Hooker just took a ton of damage. And then after that fight, Michael Chandler starched him in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. We saw Islam Makhachev submit him in the first round. We saw Arnold Allen starch him in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Arnold Allen's not starching anybody. No matter how good Arnold Allen is, he's very good, but he's not starching anybody. So getting knocked out by Michael Chandler in round 1 and Arnold Allen in round 1, just not good looks. And then everybody thought Dan Hooker was a bum. And it was my infamous rant where I was just saying Dan Hooker is not a bum because he lost to Makhachev, Arnold Allen, Michael Chandler, and then people were, believe it or not, were taking Claudio Puelles against Dan Hooker, and Dan Hooker beat him accordingly there. I cashed a nice Dan Hooker ticket. But Jalin Turner is not Claudio Puelles. Jalin Turner is very dangerous, one of the most dangerous guys in the division. Michael Chandler, super dangerous. Islam, super dangerous. Arnold Allen, I don't think he's that dangerous, but he's really good. Jalin Turner, very, very dangerous. There's a reason, Gamrot was out there trying to take down Jalin Turner desperately. And I thought Jalin Turner won the fight. Like, I picked Gamrot to win the fight, but everything that Jalin Turner landed on Gamrot was giving Gamrot a reaction. He was getting hurt. Jalin Turner's power is scary. And if you're getting starched by guys like Arnold Allen, I mean, I think Jalin Turner can finish you. Dan Hooker is going to have to wrestle here. Dan Hooker, really good striker, don't get me wrong, but you can't strike with Jalin Turner. This guy is 6'3" at lightweight. Dan Hooker is massive for the division. Jalin Turner is going to be much taller than him. I mean, Jalin Turner is a serious problem. I still think there are some question marks with Jalin Turner about his takedown defense. I think it's improving. I really do. I don't think Dan Hooker is going to be the guy to go out there and exploit that takedown defense, but that is something to worry about, and Dan Hooker is I think, going to wrestle. Jalin Turner said it himself. Dan Hooker is going to wrestle. If he doesn't, it's a big mistake. And even if he does, I don't know if Dan Hooker is going to have success because that's not really Dan Hooker's game. He's not out there wrestling guys. He doesn't even average a takedown per 15 minutes. So I think these guys are going to strike for a good chunk of this fight as long as it lasts. And when they do, Jalin Turner is probably going to knock out Dan Hooker. But we've seen Jalin Turner finished a bunch. We've seen him knocked out a bunch. We've seen him taken down a bunch. But I think he's improved a bunch. So I got to go Jalin Turner here, 5 years younger. More in his prime. Dan Hooker kind of looks like he's on his way out, 33 years old. Yes, he got a nice win against Claudio Puelles, but like I said, Claudio Puelles is not Jalin Turner. So I'm going to take Jalin Turner to win this fight. I'll say first round knockout win for Jalin Turner. Moving on, we have a hilarious fight, to be honest. We have Robert Whittaker going against Dricus du Plessis. Got Robert Whittaker, 32 years old, 6 foot, with a 73.5-inch reach, 24-6 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Dricus du Plessis, 29 years old, 6'1" with a 76-inch reach, 19-2 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds. Robert Whittaker, massive favorite. He opened up minus 350, currently minus 410. Dricus du Plessis, plus 285, opened up, currently plus 310. And I saw this video of Renato Moicano. It was a Renato Moicano clip. And he said, to be in the UFC, you have to be good. Unless you're Dricus du Plessis, and that couldn't be any more true. I mean, it's hilarious. I went and watched tape on Dricus, and in every single fight, he is getting wobbled, he's getting dropped, he's getting taken down, he's getting mounted, he's getting his back taken, he's gassing out. And I know, people are going to get mad about this. Dricus du Plessis, that's just how he breathes, apparently. No, this guy's gassed out 2 minutes in. I don't care. I mean, his mouth is wide open. He's sluggish. He looks like he can barely move. I mean, I think he's gassed out. But apparently, that's Dricus saying he's not tired. He's not gassed out. That's just how he breathes. I call BS because he is looking extremely tired. And then Dricus just goes out there and he pulls off these wins. Yes, he's getting taken down. He's getting mounted. He's getting dropped. He's getting hurt. He's sloppy on the feet. But he's going out there and he's ultimately winning the fight. This guy is the definition of a meme fighter, and I'm all here for it. I love this guy. I love this guy's fights. They're so much fun. He throws technique out the window. Technique means nothing to Dricus du Plessis after the first 2 minutes. Skill for skill, this fight's not even competitive. It's not even close, skill for skill. Robert Whittaker's better everywhere. Cardio, striking, wrestling, grappling, everywhere. But Dricus is a guy that if he did win this fight, would anybody be shocked? Would anybody be shocked if Dricus went out there and memed Robert Whittaker? If Dricus, gassed out in 30 seconds and then somehow just chinned Robert Whittaker? No, I mean you wouldn't be shocked. As far as a pick, I have to pick Robert Whittaker. I mean he's the better fighter by a mile, and I think he finishes Dricus du Plessis here. But Dricus just finds a way, which is hilarious. It really is hilarious. Like watching some of his fights, I was cracking up because what is this guy doing in there? But he's winning fights. But yeah, this is a big step up in competition from a guy like Derek Brunson, who I don't know if he retired or not, but if he has not retired yet, it's probably getting close. A guy in Darren Till who's cut, Brad Tavares, Trevin Giles, Marcus Perez, who's not in the UFC. This is Robert Whittaker we're talking about, a guy that just went to a competitive decision loss against Adesanya. So yeah, give me Robert Whittaker to win this fight. I think he finishes Dricus du Plessis second, third round. I think Dricus is going to gas. I don't care if he's saying that's how he's breathing. I mean, he looks gassed and sluggish to me. I think Robert Whittaker gets on top at some point, pounds him out, or lands a big head kick and knocks him out here. So give me Robert Whittaker to win this fight. I'll say second round knockout for him. Moving on, we have Bo Nickal going against Tresean Gore. We got Bo Nickal, 27 years old, 6'1", with a 76-inch reach, 4-0. And obviously 4-0 in his only 4 fights. Tresean Gore, 29 years old, 6 foot, with a 75-inch reach, 4-2, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. So we'll take a look at the odds. Bo Nickal, you guessed it, massive favorite, opening up, minus 1250, currently minus 1400. Tresean Gore opened up plus 850, currently plus 800. And let's be real, these odds are wide. They're very wide. Like Tresean Gore, he's not some bum. Tresean Gore's takedown defense is good. His grappling is good. His striking's good. Low volume, but he needs to let his hands go more. But his striking's good. He has power. Tresean Gore is a solid fighter. I've seen him stuff a lot of takedowns. I've seen him even go for takedowns in his own right. But he's taking on Bo Nickal, so none of that matters. I mean, Bo Nickal is going to get this fight down to the mat. And when he does, his grappling's like really good. He's, I believe, a blue belt now in BJJ. His back takes are very, very fast. His grappling is very dangerous. We don't see a ton of his striking. I think there's probably like 60 seconds total of striking from Bo Nickal, but when we have seen it, it's just a lot of power. I've seen him knock somebody out in his debut. Obviously, he's got a knockdown on the Contender Series, submission shortly after that. But yeah, it's the wrestling. Bo Nickal's a phenomenal wrestler, and I was watching tape on Bo Nickal. And my wife was in the other room. She heard the name Bo Nickal, and she's like, why are you watching tape on Bo Nickal? He's going to win. I think she's onto something, to be honest. I think Bo Nickal wins this fight, and I think he wins it in the first round. But there's always a question you got to ask yourself when you're talking minus 1,400. And those questions are, what happens if Tresean Gore survives the first 5 minutes? What does Bo Nickal look like in the second or the third? And I don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows. And we're not going to know after this fight. So Bo Nickal, first round submission, takes down Tresean Gore, takes his back, and chokes him out. I think we learned nothing about Bo Nickal. I think he gets a step up, and then maybe we learned a little bit something more, but this is not the spot. This is not the spot. Give me Bo Nickal, first round sub in this one. All right, next we have the co-main event, 5-round fight, flyweight title on the line. Brandon Moreno going against Alexander Pantoja. We got Brandon Moreno, 29 years old, 5'7", with a 70-inch reach, 21-6-2, and 3-1-1 in his last 5 fights. Alexander Pantoja, 33 years old, 5'5", with a 68-inch reach, 25-5 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. So take a look at the odds here. Brandon Moreno opened up minus 160, currently minus 205. Pantoja opened up plus 140, currently plus 175, and these odds make no sense to me whatsoever. Obviously, the big narrative of this fight, Alexander Pantoja, 2-0 against Brandon Moreno. So they fought in the Tough House, the same season as Terrance Mitchell we talked about, where they had the 16 flyweights, and it was interesting. When they were picking teams, Cejudo was talking about like really wanting Brandon Moreno, and so Cejudo drafts Pantoja. Turns out Pantoja's the first seed, and the 16th seed was Brandon Moreno. Just crazy to think about. Brandon Moreno goes from being the 16 seed out of 16 flyweights to being the flyweight champion of the world. Just wild. And then, yeah, Pantoja and Moreno fight. Very competitive first round. A lot of people thought that Moreno won the first round. And then in the second round, Pantoja takes down Moreno, takes his back. But Moreno's like 21 years old at this point. Moreno's made a ton of improvements at this point. A couple years later, fast forward, they fight in the UFC. And it's not really close, to be honest. Pantoja won like 30-26, 30-26, and 30-27. But again, this is 5-6 years ago. A lot has changed since then. So a lot of people will go back and watch those fights. I went back and watched the fights, but you can't take a ton into them because both these guys are different fighters. I think this fight's very close. If this was a 3-round fight, I'd be max betting Pantoja. Plus 175. I'd be max betting. If this was a 3-round fight, it's not. The reason I'm going to pick Pantoja but don't have a ton of confidence is the cardio. This is a 25-minute fight. I think it's a close fight where Pantoja is going to win the early rounds. In terms of the striking, I think Pantoja is the better striker. I really do. I think he's more defensively sound. I think he throws more volume. I think he hits harder. I think there's a huge power difference between the two. I think Pantoja is a very good grappler. I mean, this guy's grappling is incredible. His back takes are incredible. If he takes Brandon Moreno's back, I don't know if he submits Moreno. I know he did in the Tough House, but 8 years ago. But I think he can control Moreno. So yeah, early on, I expect Pantoja to be landing those bigger shots, having success, a little bit of success in the grappling, just being the better striker. But when this fight hits that 3rd, 4th, and 5th round, what is the cardio going to look like at Pantoja? Because we know Moreno can go 25 minutes. We've seen it multiple times. Whereas with Pantoja, we haven't seen it. We've seen him slow down in 3-round fights. So that's the one thing that's really scaring me away from Pantoja here is that cardio. What happens when this fight gets to the 4th and 5th? So I think it's a close fight. I think this one goes the distance. I think this one's a war. I really do. I'll take Pantoja to win a very close decision. I think he wins the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round, and then probably loses the 4th and 5th. I think it's a type situation where we see Pantoja win round 1, round 2, Moreno win round 4, round 5. All comes down to round 3. I think it's a close fight. So this line makes no sense to me in a fight that I feel like is really close. So give me Pantoja for the upset here. Pantoja has always been, my dark horse for the flyweight division. I've always said this guy is going to fight for a title one day, and he's finally getting it at 33 years old. When he loses to really good guys like Askar Askarov, guys like Davis and Figueiredo, and I think he's very live in this matchup. So give me Pantoja to win this fight. I'll say Pantoja wins this fight by probably a split decision. I think it's a close fight. Next, we have Alexander Volkanovski going against Yair Rodriguez. If you guys have not, comment down right now your significant strikes for this fight. Doing the $25 giveaway. Let's see who can get closest. Maybe get it on the dot this week. But we got Alexander Volkanovski, 34 years old, 5'6" with a 71.5-inch reach, 25-2, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Yair Rodriguez, 30 years old, 5'11", with a 71-inch reach, 15-3, and 3-1 and 1 no contest in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. We see that Alexander Volkanovski opened up a minus 425 favorite, currently minus 420. Yair Rodriguez opened up plus 325, currently plus 320. And yeah, Yair's been looking really good as of late. It started a couple fights ago in the Max Holloway fight. Big dog, but made a very good count for himself. I think his stock rose after that Max Holloway fight. Against Brian Ortega, got that, technically it was a TKO win, via injury. So was able to get that, and then he went out there and beat Josh Emmett, took some damage early, got hurt bad. I thought Josh Emmett was about to finish him. Yair comes back, second round, hurts Josh Emmett multiple times, and then submits him, right? So yeah, he's been looking really good in his last couple fights. It's a fight where I like Volkanovski a lot here. And I think Volkanovski has a lot of paths here, but Yair Rodriguez is very dangerous on the feet. Very dangerous, very good kicks, body kicks, head kicks, leg kicks, very powerful kicks. We saw him hurt Emmett multiple times with them. But I still think there's a hole in Yair Rodriguez's game. We go back to the Frankie Edgar fight, and it was a while ago, but hear me out. Frankie Edgar exposes Yair Rodriguez's ground game. He takes him down. He lands vicious ground and pound on him. Yair has no answers off of his back whatsoever. Then he fights Korean Zombie, right? Then he fights Jeremy Stephens in no contest. Korean Zombie nor Jeremy Stephens are trying to take him down, right? And then he fights Jeremy Stephens the second time after the no contest. Yair almost finishes Jeremy Stephens. Yair gasses out. And then Jeremy Stephens proceeds to take Yair down, get on top, and land ground and pound. And Yair has no answer. Fast forward to the Max Holloway fight. Max Holloway's taking this guy down. Max Holloway's not taking anybody down. Max Holloway's getting into dominant positions. Max Holloway's getting into mount. Max Holloway almost submits Yair multiple times, twice in that fight. And then he fights Brian Ortega, gets taken down. That fight ends, though. Even Josh Emmett, who doesn't really take anybody down, takes him down. So what I'm getting at is there's no evidence that Yair Rodriguez has patched up that hole in his game. And that hole in his game, I think, is the takedown defense and the ability to get back up when taken down. So not only on the feet do I think Alexander Volkanovski is going to be the better striker here, more volume, but more defensively sound by a mile. I mean, Yair blocks punches with his face, and he's tough. He can do so, but doing that against Volkanovski is not a recipe for success. So I think Alexander Volkanovski can win minutes on the feet. Early on, I think super competitive, but as the fight goes on, we know Volkanovski has next level cardio. Yair, not so much. But where I think Volkanovski can really win this fight easily, to be honest, is taking this fight down to the mat. And when Alexander Volkanovski gets on top, he has vicious ground and pound. I think he's really going to beat up Yair on the mat here. I think he's really going to beat him up on the feet late. And I think like a doctor's stoppage, like cut stoppage, is seriously in play here. Like I think it's going to be a vicious beatdown as this fight goes on. It's not too often you see somebody out-voluming Max Holloway, the volume king. Alexander Volkanovski did it 3 times. It's not too often you see somebody knocking out the Korean Zombie outside of Yair, that flukish knockout, but Volkanovski knocked out the Korean Zombie. I think Volkanovski stops Yair here in the later rounds. I think he takes him down. I think he gets him tired. I think he beats him up on the mat, on the feet, and I think the fight eventually gets stopped in the 4th round. So give me Alexander Volkanovski, and still, I think he finishes Yair Rodriguez late in this fight. But early on, it's going to be a war. Early on, Yair will have success, but I don't think he can keep it up across 25 minutes. So give me Alexander Volkanovski for the win. That is about it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Phenomenal card. If you guys have not already, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Check out dfsbythenumbers.com. I'm going to be posting a lot of betting content, a lot of content on there in general. Check that out. Check out Prize Picks. Use that promo code DFSBTN. Be on the lookout for a Prize Picks breakdown later in the week as well. And lastly, don't forget to comment down your significant strikes. Check out the Discord, link in the description. This week only, opening that up to the public, trying to get the Discord popping again. You can follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers, Instagram, DFS by the numbers. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns. And other than that, looking forward to hopefully meeting some of you in Las Vegas and enjoying some fights. So best of luck for UFC 290. We'll talk to you guys soon. See you later.